In typical Valve fashion, on a just random Wednesday, they've decided to reveal 3 new, very exciting pieces of hardware. And naturally, new hardware comes with lots of information. So I want to make a video and just compile all of the basic information that you need to know about Valve's new hardware trio. Starting off, we have the Steam controller, which is probably the least exciting of the 3, but that doesn't mean it's not exciting at all, because it definitely is. Essentially, what Valve has done is taken a Steam Deck and sliced the screen out of it to make a controller. Now, if you've used a Steam Deck before, then you know why this is exciting. Not only is the Steam Deck just a comfortable device, the built-in controls come with absolutely everything you need to play PC games other than a keyboard. So taking all that and putting it into a regular controller is so cool. The highlights for me personally are, of course, the trackpads and also the gyro capabilities. The trackpads are something that you really have to use yourself to get an idea of, but once you use them, they're so intuitive. And with Steam Input, there's a lot of really cool things you can do with them. It's not just about aiming or using them as a mouse. I've played MMOs like Star Wars The Old Republic and bound all of my attacks to one of the trackpads and almost created like an attack wheel. It was so intuitive to use. The Steam controller will also feature the capacitive touch that the Steam Deck has on the thumbsticks, but also on the back of the controller, meaning you can enable gyro by just resting your fingers on the thumbsticks or holding the back of the controller. If you have never used gyro aiming in an FPS, I urge you to try it. It is so nice. The Steam controller also features next generation magnetic thumbsticks, meaning they shouldn't drift, unlike some other controllers out there. While the Steam controller might not be the most exciting announcement here, I don't think it should be disregarded, because for me personally, this is probably going to replace using my PS5 DualSense or Xbox controller on PC. It just does everything I need to do. It also just works with anything that runs Steam, so your Steam Deck or the other 2 pieces of hardware announced. Which, speaking of, I think it's time we move on to my personal highlight of the announcement, the Steam Frame. If you've been anywhere in the VR space for the last couple of years, you've inevitably heard about some of the leaks about the Valve Deckard, or you've seen some of the leaked 3D models of the headset or the controller. It's been kind of a wild ride waiting for Valve's follow-up to the Index, but now after all this time, it's finally been revealed. The Steam Frame is Valve's attempt at a hybrid VR headset. Now at first I was a little scared because they opened with how it's a streaming focused headset, which, yeah, it does sound a little scary, but that's not all the Steam Frame can do, because it's essentially a Steam Deck strapped to your face. That's right, this is not just a VR headset, it is also an entire PC. Let's just let that sink in for a moment. So yes, it can play lightweight PC VR titles and regular PC titles completely natively, along with, well, pretty much anything else you can play on a PC. But its streaming capabilities are actually one of the most exciting parts of this headset. Valve has decided that if they are going to do game streaming, they are going to do it right. The Steam Frame connects to your PC using a 6 GHz wireless adapter that just plugs right into a USB port. The headset itself features 2 different radios built in, one connected to streaming the audio and visuals, and the other connects to the Wi-Fi. You have 2 dedicated links, and neither compete for bandwidth. You've been able to wirelessly connect and stream PC VR games to a Quest 2 or 3 for a while now, but it's always been a little finicky and not the best at times. You really need a beefy Wi-Fi setup. So if you're like me and you are not wired to your router, it's not a great experience. So having a dedicated adapter is so nice. And to make it even better, the Steam Frame uses eye tracking for foveated streaming, meaning the Steam Frame will automatically optimize detail where your eyes are specifically looking and not everywhere else. Headsets like the PSVR 2 have done this for foveated rendering, but I haven't seen anything like this for streaming games yet. And the best part about all this is that it works. In fact, it works incredibly well according to people who have gotten access to it. And on top of all this, it's still not just for streaming and playing VR games. This is meant to play your Steam library as well. The controllers have been completely redesigned. They feature all the buttons that you'd need to play your regular Steam games, and they even still have the finger tracking included with the Index. Once again, this headset is also an entire PC. So if you really want and just want to play lighter titles, you don't even need a PC for this. And it uses inside-out tracking, so you don't need to set up base stations. Another highlight of the Steam Frame is the fact that it does use pancake lenses, which is a pretty big deal. Especially coming from the Quest 2 to the Quest 3, you notice the difference immediately, trust me, you cannot go back. Now, some of the gripes I've been seeing online that people have had with the Steam frame is stuff like how the screens are not OLED. Personally, that's not a deal breaker. The Steam frame is also not a mixed reality headset, say like the Quest 3 or like the Apple Vision Pro. There's a scene in the Steam frame trailer that, to be fair, is pretty misleading because you are not going to get this kind of experience. Whoa, editing Broodley here. So I completely forgot to mention that while the Steam frame does not have full color pass-through, in the future it could be upgraded to have full color pass-through. Here, I'll just let Linus explain this.
And this is really cool. Right between the goggles at the bottom here is an expansion port that allows up to two 2.5 gigabit MIPI cameras, or a single camera with a PCIe Gen 4 by 1 slot, allowing all kinds of possibilities for additional accessories. Like if you wanted color cameras, for instance, the built-in ones are only monochromatic. Or if you wanted, I don't know, a smell sensor, the sky's the limit.
I've always liked the idea of playing my PC games on a VR headset on a giant virtual screen, but I just never thought that the technology was there. But it sounds like Valve has gone all in on making streaming your PC games viable, and I'm really excited to try this out. I can already imagine playing games like Clair Obscur on a giant virtual screen. I even think this could be a full Quest 3 replacement for me. But that's a video for another time. Now we've reached the final piece of hardware revealed, and this one I think is gonna shake up the industry just a little bit. Here we have the Steam Machine. Now, for some of you watching, that name might bring back some memories. I remember as a kid wanting a Steam Machine, not knowing that it was a colossal failure. This time though, things are different, and Valve is going all out, using all the improvements they've made with SteamOS over the years with the Steam Deck, and truly creating what feels like a Steam console. The Steam Machine is basically a PC squished into a little cube. I've seen people online nickname it the Gabe Cube. The Steam Machine really feels like what Valve has been working towards with SteamOS this entire time. PC gaming, but delivered in an accessible and easy way. Basically, think of this like a souped up Steam Deck, but in a console format, and around 6 times more powerful. The Steam Deck is already decently capable. I mean, 6 times that? That's pretty good. Just like the Steam frame, of course, this is also an entire PC. So you'll also get access to all the amazing SteamOS features, like Steam Cloud Saves, and even fast suspend and resume, which I think is going to be a very big thing for a console. The whole quick resume thing on the Series X was cool, but now with the Steam Machine, you just hit a button, instantly suspend, hit a button again, resume, just like that. And all of your saves will transfer between all devices that have access to Steam. Now, I said that I think the Steam Machine is going to shake up the industry a little bit, and why do I say that? Well, we're getting to a point where the PS5 and the Series X and the Switch 2 are getting expensive. And naturally, that's to be expected. But with consoles like the Series X just getting more and more expensive, you really start to wonder, why don't I just build a PC? Well, I think the Steam Machine is going to be perfect for people in that mindset and people who just want to jump ship from Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo. You'll get both PlayStation and Xbox games, games will be cheaper, you'll get to experience Steam sales, and you don't have to pay for online multiplayer. And on top of that, it is also an entire PC that you can use for anything. If this thing is priced competitively, I think this is going to be a pretty huge hit. Now, of course, the Steam Machine isn't exactly going to be the most powerful PC ever, but I think that's okay. This is going to be competing in power with things like the PS5, Series X, and Switch, and I think it's going to be able to compete pretty easily. Valve advertises up to 4K gaming with 60 FPS utilizing FSR. Now, I know some people are not going to be very happy with FSR utilization, but I think this is where stuff like FSR and DLSS is perfect. Cheaper, less powerful machines like this that use these technologies to get a leg up in performance. The Steam Machine feels like not only a great entryway into PC gaming, but also a great companion piece to anyone who has a PC. Kind of like owning a Steam Deck, but just with a little more power. The idea that I can start playing a game on my PC, and if I decide, hey, I want to go sit out in the living room and play it out there instead, then I don't need to move my full PC or only use a handheld like the Steam Deck. I can just play it on this little cube of a PC, and of course have access to all my saves, all the games I've bought. It's safe to say I'm a little excited. My big worry though with the Steam machine is the fact that games like Call of Duty still do not work with SteamOS because the anti-cheat is just not compatible with Linux. Now I don't know if this is something that developers have to work on or if Valve can somehow work on something to create a workaround, but at the current moment, if you don't have access to titles like Call of Duty, I think you're gonna really struggle to pull in the more casual market. Granted, I'm sure you can just dual boot the machine with Windows, but at the same time, that's kind of defeating the purpose of this being just a pure console-like experience. So if Valve can somehow iron that out, yeah, I think this is going to be a huge hit. Now, I do feel like the only thing missing from a new console announcement is a new game to go along with it. And you know what? I'm not going to say it. We're all thinking it. We're all on the same page here. Valve, please. Now that we've discussed all three products, I think it's time we just kind of give a wrap-up final thoughts on the whole thing. I really love that Valve is pushing for a SteamOS ecosystem. This feels like a proper ecosystem. You have all your games, all your saves, but you're the one who gets to choose how you play and enjoy them. No matter where you want to play, you're the one who gets to decide. And I feel like in this day and age, having that amount of power as a consumer is very, very important. However, there is one thing we have not touched on: the price of these devices. And right now, well, we don't know the price of them. Valve has given some kind of hints towards where the Steam machine and the Steam frame could end up price-wise, but at the moment they have not revealed anything. And I don't know if maybe that's because they're a little expensive and they're scared of the backlash, or if they're still just trying to work things out. But whatever Valve does, making these affordable and competitive is going to be huge. They will make back so much of the money just from Steam games alone. But overall, this was a pretty positive announcement, and I feel like I've seen a lot of positivity online too, which is very surprising considering nobody is positive nowadays. But for now, that's where we're gonna have to wrap it up. If you like what I do here, then of course do all the YouTube stuff, the like and subscribe and the comment and all that to help support me. Anyways, that's all for now. I will see you guys later.